Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to have with us here today the Minister of Tourism of the Hellenic Republic, Mrs. Olga Kefalogianni. We would like to invite her to the stage.
Αξιότιμοι προσκεκλημένοι,
Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends, dear organizers of the Stavros Niarchos Foundation, I would like to first of all welcome your guests to Greece and express our satisfaction and pleasure for the fact that such an important conference has been organized in Athens. If we are here to discuss the role of philanthropy within the modern welfare, social welfare state, we should take a very close look at the case of Greece, in particular in the context of this crisis, which is multi-level, very complex, and goes beyond the economic crisis. This is a crisis for social welfare as well, not just for finance. And in certain cases, it's quite tragic in its dimension because it accompanies the diminished welfare state phenomenon that we've been watching for quite a few years and which has worsened over the last 5. And I'd like to make a clarification here. Philanthropy in our country might appear weaker than in other countries, but this should not be seen as an exclusive consequence of the crisis. This reduced will to offer philanthropy can be explained by the inability of the state over decades to work in an efficient and effective manner. The state has not been able to fully support social solidarity and philanthropy overall. I would say that the crisis, and I can be bold enough to state this, has showcased the need for solidarity and has stressed the importance of voluntary contribution. It has urged many of our compatriots to become active in this sphere. And this shrinking of the welfare state has brought up new self-help groups, new civil society associations, private institutions that were more effective and more active in offering support in health support and help now, more than they did during the better days that we saw in the past. So philanthropy now is more visible. So yes, the welfare state is shrinking and civil society is more active, but at the same time, and I have to make this very clear, the state cannot give up its fundamental obligations to offer welfare services. We must become better, more flexible, more effective. We must cooperate, we must adjust, we must change, but we must not give up. Philanthropy should not substitute for the state, and the state should not take up the role of philanthropy. I would like to refer now to some cliches that have been accepted in our country as far as philanthropy is concerned. And this has had an impact on the way people view philanthropy and social contribution. Philanthropy. It's something for the better off. It's something for the privileged few. Yes, it is quite true when the average citizen has to face a lot of problems to meet their everyday needs to feel that that's quite true. But philanthropy is not just a subject for the few. It does not go hand in hand with donation of money. And when it is money that's donated, it doesn't have to be an important sum, because from the very first euro and the very first packaged food item that you contribute, you are practicing philanthropy. So it's open to all. So in Greece as well, it should become part of our collective culture, an inalienable part and a custom of citizens' lives. Now, the second cliche is that charity organizations do not take the pulse of real society. Now, this is a misconception that we meet very often, because the charitable work of these philanthropic organizations do, in fact, improve structures and social benefits, but very often they seem to be remaining at a distance from the very core of social needs. What does this mean? For a charitable institution to support a museum in a far-flung corner of Greece is, of course, a major contribution to the local society. But for citizens that have to live with the consequences of the crisis, it's not what is going to make his or her life better. So there is again a distorted view of reality, because these institutions, these philanthropic institutions, do not only serve this purpose. And I'd like to mention a very typical example. We know that the state over the past few years cannot offer drug abusers, especially for long-term users, adequate care. The Stavros Niarchos Foundation has found this gap, and in cooperation with the competent institute has put up a healthcare unit, health and basic dental care unit for long-term drug users. Now, I'm one of the the politicians who have been looking at the issue of drugs in our city. This was a targeted and very necessary service, and it is fully adjusted to the social request for healthcare to be provided to drug users, and in order to combat the phenomenon of drug abuse in this city. So it is a targeted action against the hardcore problems of this city, and it is helping to deal with a very important problem. It is a substantial move, and it's just not an exercise in PR. Also, meals for schools in the area of Attica. Without making too much noise and with full respect of privacy, the foundation is doing a lot for this. The third cliché is philanthropy does not need the state, that philanthropy should and can function without the state. Now, I'd like to disagree with that. I'm not trying to say that the state should control philanthropy, but it can support the institution of philanthropy in many different ways. No one would like to see philanthropic institutions that are doing a lot of good work to be taken out of the picture. We should avoid that. It is part of our communal responsibility, particularly today when the state is trying to cut back its spending on welfare. We need to cooperate effectively, because we need to make sure that these philanthropical institutions can provide the necessary work that in many cases is more effective and sometimes even better from what would be offered by a malfunctioning state. So we have to accept that the state needs philanthropy. It needs cooperation at all levels, from the simplest to the most complex. The Ministry of Tourism is building step by step, paying particular attention and respect its cooperation with the Stavros Niarchos foundations without blowing our pipe to the winds. We try to do that to the benefit of Greek citizens, and what we do is that we have provided the amazing Athens smartphone platform, which went with the help of this foundation to an academic institution in the States. So we have other such ideas, and we'll be putting them into practice. And what we did was take the first step that's halfway to reaching your goal. Ladies and gentlemen, in the very terrible conditions that have been created by the crisis, we need to put up a collective front. We shouldn't be isolationists or defeatists. Private initiative has proven the catalytical role it can play through the escalation of social responsibility, company and enterprise responsibility in all fields. Citizens individually can also become part of the wave of volunteers by changing their everyday habits. Civil society, and this is an imperative, has to overcome its long-term pathogenies, and it needs to inspire citizens with the need to offer voluntary participation in philanthropical work. We need to make sure that the state finds the way to address the problems of our everyday life. We need synergy and co-responsibility, and there the state should mobilize more, taking up action to fully support and cooperate with the philanthropical bodies around us. No one can remain unmoved. This is a very complex situation for our citizens, and there's no way out of this. We can't be socially introverted. We can't be individualists. It's our responsibility, it's our work to make this quite clear through concrete action, through education, which will institute philanthropy and community work as part of our one of our communal values. We have lost time. Not enough efforts have been made, but the time to act has arrived. Thank you for listening.
As the Minister mentioned, we now have the pleasure to invite to the stage two people who will present the amazing Athens smartphone application. This is Professor Andrei Gerolimatos, the Director at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Center for Hellenic Studies at Simon Fraser University, and Kostas Detegikas, Technology Manager at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation New Media Lab at Simon Fraser University.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I would like to thank the Stavros Niarchos Foundation for several things. For one thing, we are the beneficiaries of philanthropy. Our center came into existence because of a significant grant from the foundation, which created the Stavros Foundation Center for Hellenic Studies at Simon Fraser University, which in turn was matched by the university, and is one of the largest centers in the world that deals with Greek studies. We have an academic program, we have a center, and of course we have what we call the SNF New Media Lab. And this New Media Lab has given us the opportunity to give back, not just to the foundation, but to give back to the Greek people and the Greek state. And one way we know how to do it from so far away. I mean, Vancouver is dramatically further than Athens. As a matter of fact, it's raining and cold in Vancouver as we speak, quite different from what it is here. Our goal was made known to us when we met with Minister Kefalogianni, who's a very dynamic minister, and she's one of the new people in government who are doing amazing things. And what she told us made a very strong impression, and that is tourism was going up everywhere, except, of course, in Athens. And she says, you know, whatever you can do to help Athens, you're also going to help Greece. Well, again, being far away, what we thought of doing was finding a way of using new technology. This is the technology that your children use, and their children will be using, that gets to millions and millions of people very rapidly all around the world. And in this technology, we can highlight and inspire people to visit Athens virtually, and then when they're in Athens, to have a means, to have a guide, to see the city very easily. And this is called an app. It is used on an iPhone, and soon it will be used on other devices through an Android system. And by the fall, there will be an iPad and another tablet version, making it even easier. What this does is it brings Athens to a potential user in their fingertips, and it gives them another reason to come to the city, because they get to examine the city before they get here, and they have an easy tool while they're here to look at the city. And we have had phenomenal results from doing this, even though it's only been around for about a week. But we are going to the next generation. We are going to the young generation of people, those who are in our classes, and those people who are also going to be visiting Greece and Athens more specifically. To make this app as effective as possible, we thought we would localize it as much as possible. So therefore, it is available in English, but also in Chinese, in German, in Russian, in Italian, in Spanish. This is so that as many people as they can could see this, use it, and we hope they come to Athens. Now, to give you an inside look into what this thing looks like, I'll pass it over to my colleague Costa.
Thanks, Andre. Okay, so I'm just going to take everybody through a series of slides. This one here. Okay, so I'm going to take everyone through a series of slides. Unfortunately, I can't do a live demo, but I'll give you a pretty good indication of how amazing Athens actually looks on an iPhone app. So I want to start by saying that as Andre and I are speaking, there is a paradigm shift that's taking place where mobile applications are now taking over, where in fact, in fact, in this particular slide, you'll see the always connected traveler. A couple of very interesting points that I want to say. Number one, 73% of the Earth's population subscribes to wireless services. It's also undeniable that travelers are increasingly using mobile applications to explore, connect, and share experiences. In fact, mobile application or mobile computing is now the most rapidly adopted new technology in computing history. According to many statistics, by 2015, students will be using e-textbooks exclusively. By 2016, tablet sales will overtake PC and laptop sales. So Amazing Athens, as Andre said, presents an opportunity for the Greek state to extend its cultural brand through the development and distribution of mobile apps. We have a goal of creating a serious, ongoing presence in the mobile space for Greek tourism. This initiative's aim is to create a series of high-quality applications that will create a positive buzz about the country. So what does it do for the end user, the tourist? For users of the app, both on the ground and or persons considering visiting Greece, the benefits are clear. Comprehensive and official information. In fact, over 130 venues in Athens. Offline maps available, as Andre said, in various localized languages. This means that there's no expensive data plans. Anybody visiting Athens can download the app and use it with no problem without paying their data plan. Personalized content in the form of localized language. In this case, you'll see a Spanish localized screen. And of course, personalization. One could easily put in when they're going to Athens, how long are they going to be there, and the app will track this and personalize their experience. As Andre mentioned as well, an iPad app is in the works, thanks to Plant Your Roots in Greece Foundation, Theodore Spiropoulos. So we're very happy to have this philanthropist also contributing to the Amazing Athens initiative. So for the Greek state, the Ministry of Tourism, again, it's a way to target strategic markets: China, Spain, Brazil, Russia. The other, and this is an example of how it's not just translated, it's actually localized to the sensibility of user groups. For example, for some users, we feature shopping locations or museums. For others, it's more leisurely activities. Might be first on the list, beaches, for example. It's also a great way for the state to show the rest of the world that Greece is planning amazing projects and that will be available to both Athenians and tourists. What we're doing for the Greek state is we're providing valuable information about who's downloading the app from where, outside of what the GNTO tracks. So this is maybe, in some cases, a little bit more dynamic because we know that someone who's searching in the App Store for a specific city is very intent on coming to Athens. And so we know, for example, and it's interesting, these are just statistics from last week, most of the downloads came from Asia, again, thanks to localization. What's next? As the minister alluded to briefly in the speech, we're looking to expand our Amazing Athens initiative into other areas. What we want to do is create a digital brand for Greek tourism and culture. We aim to assist Greece in the transformation or reinterpretation of its cultural heritage into engaging applications that clearly send a message to the world that Greece is the birthplace of civilization. So simply speaking, we want to transform this into this. This is something that we're currently looking at very carefully now that we've started working on more traditional touristic applications. One more app that I want to quickly show is the Parthenon app. And this is an interactive Parthenon, history of the Parthenon app, which will be available later this year. We're very proud to announce that it's being designed in collaboration with the famed director Costa Gavras, a true philanthropist and patriot. Thank you.
As you can see, there's a seismic shift going on in the world of communications, and that beyond television and newspapers and magazines, the world of technology is informing people at a much rapid rate. Tweeting and Facebook get to people so rapidly that it defies being on television. And I guess the last word in this would be, I would like to thank the Niarchos Foundation for having the inspiration and the generosity to use their philanthropy on us so we can bring it back to Greece. Thank you very much.
So thank you, everyone. This concludes our first day of meetings, and we hope to see everyone here again tomorrow. We start at 9 a.m. We hope you found the sessions to be productive and useful, and we hope that we are building a momentum and that this will continue to be the case tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Minister, thank you for being here.